Good evening, this is Nick Inman from VolumeProfileTrader.com on Tuesday, March 13th. And if you're curious why there wasn't a video on yesterday, it was because it was my birthday. So I took advantage of that, took the day off. Should have emailed you, but I did not have anything on me that could have, communicated with you. So I apologize for that, but it's not like really anything has changed. What we've seen really in the market is a continuation to the upside. This pullback was nothing but an opportunity. It shook out all of the weak hands, and now we're seeing a continuation to the upside. This is one of the reasons why you want to take profits when you have them, but you also want to stay involved. And one thing that we took advantage of basically back on these lows, I know I was buying these lows, and the reason why was because bouncing off the point of control for February, it was a great trade, and since then we're up about 50 S&P points. So catching that bottom has been a very profitable move, and if you look at names that basically have gone with that, take Apple, doing great. Take the entire financial sector, which really got a boost today after the stress test came out. Look at JP Morgan, and I'm going to bring these actually on this weekly chart. This is, if I really zoom out a couple years, you can see we're really approaching the top end of this range. And is this a blow-off top? It could be short-term, but I still think at the same time that names like these should be bought. It's the reason why, I defined my risk on Wells Fargo. I have a 31 by 33 call spread that expires in April. Obviously, that's going to be a profitable trade, but what I'm really looking at, I'm going to zoom out to a weekly chart. Take Wells Fargo, for example. Eventually, it's going to break out from this, let's say, $35 to $24. It's going to break out from this range, and it's going to do it eventually. So we're just going to have to wait and see. I don't necessarily think that the coast is clear, but I do think that if you have been owning financials basically since the end of last year, any time between, call it August to now, now's not a bad time to ring that register. And you want to see what tomorrow holds, the next day, really the rest of this week. But if you do start to see some type of reversal to the downside, it's going to be prudent to take some money off the table. And that goes for all of these names. Citigroup, that got a little beat up after hours. But I still think the situation is the same. Apple, already gone over that, 568. This is incredible. Just continues to go higher. This is a very easy name to hold. There's no reason to even think about shorting it, really. There have been opportunities to short it, and actually they've been kind of predictable, profitable, but they've been very short-lived, and if you're not quick, you probably ended up losing money on the trade or got stopped out at a break-even or whatever. But this is a name where I'm still holding a position in it back from October, November, December, back from the beginning of last year. Shares even, just slowly average, my cost basis continues to go higher because, I'll take profits and I'll find myself buying more. And that's just kind of, how it works. But Apple, when it's up, call it $10, every day, it's very easy to hold, and there's no reason to look to sell. Broadcom, this is starting to pay off very, very nicely. Hopefully you got in between $35 and $36, but this is starting to really power higher. Looks like we're going to go push up towards 39. You'd look to take some profits there, especially if we get some type of reversal, but I'm really looking for the mid-40s on Broadcom, and hopefully we get that. Ford consolidating, but looks like it's going to try to attempt a breakout here. what we're seeing is, and look at this, from a technical perspective, you have, lower highs. We haven't touched, these highs again. So $13 is definitely our ceiling. We do have a little downtrend resistance, but at the same time, our highs are getting higher. And today, you look at yesterday's low. Let's call it 1235 or so, right at the 50-day moving average. If we continue to push higher, push up towards 13, we should get a breakout on this. I have a position in this. I own some calls that expire in the summer months. Own a small amount of shares, but nothing that major. Chesapeake, I like this. I want to see this start to really make a push higher. Maybe up towards 26, just like it did back in the end of February. And if we do get a push up there, maybe you look to take some profits. But at the same time, this could be a name that could push up towards 30 or so. Las Vegas Sands. I still own the same. I took the profits on the position. Still own a small position, but it's nothing really. An up 3% day. Obviously you notice it, but it's nothing major, and it's nothing really to, take hold of. Or I think that, I'm just gonna let my position ride. What I am gonna do is I'm looking at Wynn, and I'm using Wynn as an opportunity to be long the casinos. I bought more today, about a third of a position, and which brings me to about 2/3 of a full size of a position. Cost basis is around 119, so I have a $6 profit in it. It actually may be a little lower, like 118 or 117, but I want to say it's around 119. I don't know, to be honest. I did it on my phone today. Just to show you basically how I was watching the market. But when if the casinos continue to work, Wynn should have no problem. Under Armour new high today. This is my best, besides Apple. This is my best performing stock in my portfolio. Hopefully it's yours too, because it's been on a power trade. Polaris continues to work. Bought this dip. Now we're getting paid off. I'm sorry for all these drawings. But everything looks pretty good, which makes me think the potential, one more, Celgene, new high. Everything looks pretty good, which makes me think, oh, sorry, Freeport. My apologies. Freeport's, it's hanging in there. We have a lot of volume over the last few days. As long as we hold these levels, we should be okay. Yesterday's low, I didn't even get stopped out from having a cost basis around 39. I want to say it's around 39.5. So I'm a little underwater, but it's nothing. It's not a big deal. Position's almost a full size position. But I don't necessarily want to buy more until I start to see some type of move higher. EV Energy Partners, I'm not necessarily recommending buying this, but on any pullback, if we do get some type of bounce off of this $70 level, that's the 50-day moving average, and that's the point of control for the last 52 weeks. It's worth looking at. It's a great growth company, and maybe you'll find some type of benefit in owning that. Westco International, same thing. This is really past my buy point. Kind of missed it, so I don't necessarily want to feature it. COG, Kodiak Oil and Gas. I remember buying this back on the 8th of February, 10 by 12.5 call spread. I still own it. I still think it's worth owning, so that's just something to mention. So really, all in all, the S&P looks, it continues to look interesting, and I don't really think it's time to sell yet. If you want to bring up an intraday chart, this is a 5-day chart, and what we see here is a market that's really trying to push higher. If you want to see it on a 10-minute scale, instead of a tick chart. Here it is right here. You can see more days. But what we continue to see is a market that's basically pushing higher, pushed back above the highs made last week, which shows you that this market, it wants to continue to trickle higher. Any pullback down towards 1377, point of control of the day, you want to see if buyers come in at those levels. That's a level that you want to be looking to buy in for a bounce. If we get a good bounce on that, then it's going to be, I assume it's going to be a profitable trade for maybe 10 points to the upside. Can't make any promises, but I know tomorrow, for example, for a day trade, if we do get any push down towards 1377, maybe even 1380 or so, and you start to see buyers come in, start to see some higher lows, some good buying, whatever the case may be, you can take a shot at it and look for an upside move for a trade, like for an S&P, maybe buy some SPY calls, at the money calls, something like that, but it would be for a trade that should be taken off in the next day or so. So anyways, I like this market. I continue to think it moves higher. I look at, the financials today. It's hard for me to say that you don't want to look at selling tomorrow, taking your profits. Financials, generally speaking, in the last 3 years, on any, call it 5% up day, it's probably been prudent to sell, except for at the March 2009 lows. We're not there. S&P is pushing up at the highs. We continue to make 52-week highs. We continue to make, highs for the NASDAQ for the last 3 years, 4 years. I don't know exactly what it is. I know it's going higher though, and we continue to be paid off. So I hope this helps. Really, there's nothing to look at because this market's really easy to trade right now. Buy the dips, especially against important levels like the February point of control, which were our lows on the 6th of March, and since then we've had a nice ride higher. So take care, have a good night. Ring the register, especially on financials, if you believe that this could be some type of blow off top. I do think there's that possibility. One thing that I'm just noting at, just from eyeballing this, if you want to look at this top of the channel that we've been kind of using to trade against for the last couple of months, a push up towards 1410 or so would have to do it. As far as the lows, that was breached when we got this downdraft in early part of March. Kind of recovered from that and held it, but overall maybe you want to look at something a little more longer term, as if you're a trend line guy, and if that's the case, then you have a couple point of references. But anyways, have a good night. Hope this helps. Not really any trading ideas because the S&P continues to move higher. When the S&P pulls back or gives us an opportunity, maybe we'll look at that. The only thing I can really think of is perhaps Freeport, Cliffs Natural Resources. No, that's not really what I want to see, except for the fact that we are bouncing off these lows, so that's something worth noting. But kind of missed the trade. That was down at 60. Now we're at 65. Oh, perhaps Walter Energy. Kind of looks like Cliffs, but yesterday really gave you an opportunity to take a cheap shot at this. What you see is we have almost like I guess this would really be considered a bear flag, but watch this consolidation pattern, whichever way we go. If we go higher, you'll have a move probably up towards 60, at the least 66, maybe 68. It could possibly, of course, push up towards the mid-70s. But if we start to clear above 62.5, go ahead and buy some and put your stop somewhere back in this congestion zone. And you'll take about 5% of risk, but you'll have about 7 to 8% of potential upside. So not a bad risk reward. Wouldn't buy a lot. Perhaps a call spread 62.5 by say 65, or maybe 62.5 by 67.5. expiring in April, something like that, and could be a nice one. So anyways, take care, have a good night, talk to you tomorrow.